Soft Guns Rock signing on, and I wanted to make a second part to the Ninja 250 versus or 250 versus a 600. You know, if you're a bigger man or woman, you know, wanting to, you know, get into the field, and you really like sport bike looks, then go, you know, I mean, go for like a sport touring. I mean, the Suzuki Katanas, like this bike, you know, is a good bike. It has power. It's enough to hurt you if you're not careful, but it's definitely a good bike to begin with. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're thinking about going like across country or, you know, on long freeway rides or something like that, then I mean a 600 would be an okay bike if you're a beginner. But, and this is only in the sport bike. Now I'll talk about cruiser in a minute. If you're on a sport bike, don't get bigger than a 600 for your first bike. I wouldn't recommend it. Not too many people do. 750s, they're gonna be a lot faster, a lot more torquey. Now, I would recommend, you know, I mean, if you're, say, 6 foot, 220 pounds or something, go get a 600. Just be careful because they're fast. Now, with a cruiser, they're fast as well, but they're not as aggressive as like a sport bike, or like a sport touring, kind of like this one is. Now, I would recommend, I mean, if you're brand new to the thing and haven't ridden a day in your life and you want to get a cruiser, you know, they're great bikes. I've owned one in the past. You know, it kept me happy for about 6 months, and then I said, you know what, I want a sport bike, and I want a bigger bike. Mine was a 500cc bike. They're good to start off with, you know. 500 if you're a little bit, you know, more than like 180 pounds and a little bit bigger or taller. They're good bikes to start with. 500s. Now a 600 with a cruiser, you know, you can do. Just still be careful because, you know, it has power, but I mean, you can probably do, you know, about 120 or a little bit more. You know, I'm guessing that's an estimate, but I mean, they're definitely fast enough, you know. I'm thinking, you know, they're good bikes, like smaller bikes. They're really good on gas, and I would recommend them to newer people. But getting, you know, too big too soon means you definitely get hurt. I heard that quote in a wheelie video, but it applies to this too. But I would totally recommend, you know, if you're getting a cruiser, you can get probably a 600, maybe a 750, but you really need to be careful. They have enough power to get you hurt as well, but they're not as like torquey, I would say. At least mine wasn't as much as this one. But they're good bikes. I got one as my first bike, and I'm not afraid, you know, to say I did. I mean, whatever you guys think about me, you know, that's what you think. But I recommend, you know, a cruiser could be, you know, a good alternative if you don't, you know, like the big sport touring bikes, or like the Nighthawk by Honda. I mean, and you kind of like to cruise long ways. Sport bikes are not as comfortable. They're definitely not. This one, you know, is not too bad, but it's definitely, it's a lot more comfortable than a Gixxer or anything like that. It also has a bigger seat, this one. So you gotta also think, if you're gonna be transporting passengers, you gotta have probably a 500 to a 600 to be able to go on the freeway, and do that very well. Now, a 250, it can do it, but it's really pushing it. Alright, this is Airsoft Guns signing off.